Hello and welcome to Empire of Wargames. My name is ePlash and today we are going to talk about Hammer and Bolter. And the episode you can watch for free on warhammercommunity.com right now. If you enjoy the content, consider leaving a thumbs up, subscribing and checking the links down in the description below. Alright, let's get into the discussion. So first up, a couple disclaimers. We are obviously going to talk about the episode, so if you have not seen it yet, check the description. I will leave a link there so you can just go there and watch the episode if you watch this video on the day of the upload, and then come back and join the discussion in the comments, watch the video and so on. If you do not watch this video on the day of the upload, you can either watch the episode on Warhammer Plus and then, watch it here, or find some other means to watch it. Alright, with all of that out of the way, we are going to summarize the story a little bit. We are going to talk about the story structure, about animation style, music, and I want to get your opinion in the comments. We will talk a little bit about it, have a constructive discussion about it. Outside of all the GW boycott stuff, I just want to talk about this episode and how it's from a quality standpoint and get a little bit of feedback and to help people gauge whether Warhammer Plus is worth it for the £5 a month or not. Alright, so when it comes to the story, we are following the events of Ghazghkull Thraka and Bale, or also known as Commissar Yarrick. You will know them as Warhammer miniatures, you will know them from books possibly, and they are monumental figures. Especially Ghazghkull Thraka is the mega war boss of mega war bosses, and Commissar Yarrick is just a monumental figure from the Imperial God, especially from the Steel Legion and from Armageddon. Now we're watching this whole episode from the perspective of orcs. The introduction of the episode, the first 3 to 5 minutes, are just orcs chasing around and talking about how they can grow stronger, or a big orc explaining it to smaller orcs that, fighting grots is not going to make them stronger or more impressive, but fighting bigger threats is the way to go. And they are talking a little bit about Space Marines and if Eldar are the right threat to counter or to attack, to grow. And the bigger orc then decides to tell them the story of old Bale, or Commissar Yarrick, and his upbringing, how he got his weapon or his arm, how he got his eye, and so on. And that Commissar Yarrick is basically the main antagonist for a large chunk of the orcs. I won't go over the details, I won't summarize the whole episode, but the way everything is structured is chronological, which I very much appreciate, since not everyone watching this will be the biggest Warhammer fan, having read all the books, knowing all the stories, and having read all the codex entries. So everything being chronological is really, really good, and it helps especially new people watching this. Furthermore, having the perspective from the orc side is a big positive in my book, because usually when it comes to the written lore and books and audiobooks and so on, most of those are written from the Imperial perspective. You're just getting a lot of Imperial propaganda in there, and you're getting a lot of the, positives when it comes to the Imperial God and Space Marines and so on. So they're usually not from a neutral perspective, but rather from an Imperial perspective. So getting this episode from the orc perspective is really a change of pace, which is what makes this interesting for book readers as well. And so if you know the stories from the books, it is still worth a watch, and not just for the animation and the music, but also for the different perspective from the orcs. So when it comes to the animations are a little bit clunky. Everything is a little bit choppy in my experience. A lot of people don't seem to mind that. A lot of people see a comic style or 90s cartoon style in there, and I definitely see this. Saturday morning cartoons and so on, definitely see this in there. And I also see the comic strips and the explanations. They're a little bit choppy, but it's fine. I don't mind it too much either, but I am used to Japanese animation, and especially the high quality ones are very, very fluent these days. They are really going with like 25 or 24 images per second if they are really, really good. So yeah, it's just a change of pace going from, high quality, top tier Japanese animation to this, but you can get used to it pretty quickly. Here's what I would ask you to, write down your opinion on the animation style, because that's something I am most interested in. Do you mind the choppy animation style? Do you think it has its character and style? Do you prefer it? And do you prefer the comic charm? This is something I'm really, really interested in. When it comes to the music, I basically only have positive things to say. Whenever I watched it, the music was a positive. Whenever I noticed it, it was very positive. Whenever I didn't notice it too much, it was underlying the atmosphere, and really it just added to the whole experience in a positive way. It was cool when I noticed it, and when the action really picked up, or when the synths kicked in, whenever a new, scenery was shown or something. And that's just how music should be implemented in animation, in my opinion. Music all around pretty good. Another important thing to talk about are subtitles and the voice acting. The voice acting is really, really good. It's the way you expect orcs to be. They're goofy. They talk with a heavy accent, with a heavy British accent or some kind of British dialect. I'm not 100% sure of that, but yeah, they have some voice changing in there to sound a little bit meaner and bulkier and bigger, which is perfect. But yeah, a lot of people, especially non-native speakers, had problems understanding them, which is understandable. So the thing to mention here is that subtitles will be available for Warhammer Plus once it releases on August 25th in multiple languages, according to some Facebook and Twitter posts. But for this free preview, we are not getting any subtitles. So if you're a non-native speaker, take this episode slow if you really want to take it all in, and, re-listen to a couple of parts, and I think you're going to figure it out. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is how Orcs and Imperial God are portrayed, and this is also another positive, because I really enjoy that Orcs are not portrayed as stupid and as, just brutes who are just out to kill everyone. They are letting humans work for them. They are enslaving them, basically. They are using tactics to ambush humans. And this is the cunning part a lot of people on Reddit and so on, whenever they are portraying orcs, forget. And I really like that this is shown off here. Just as a reminder that orcs are not just running straight ahead at the enemy and trying to beat the shit out of them. It's a little bit more nuanced than that. When it comes to the Imperial Guard, they are just the way you expect the Imperial Guard to be, and especially the Steel Legion. A lot of vehicles. Commissar Yarrick doesn't speak a lot, and when he speaks, he's saying for the Emperor, which is fitting. And yeah, the way the Imperial Guard is presented, lots of fire, lots of thousands of men in like huge scenery shots and all. It's pretty accurate, and I'm very happy with the way they are portrayed. And this is where the episodes really make sense for GW, because all I'm reading on Twitter and Reddit right now is, hey, I want to make a diorama of Gaskul and Yarrick, or I want to paint those miniatures, or hey, I want to start a Steel Legion army. And this is exactly what GW wants you to think. And it does seem to work. So yeah, they have a point with that. And if they keep up the quality or even improve it, I can see Hammer and Bolter being a very successful part of Warhammer Plus. I don't have a lot of negative things to say other than the animation, which I personally think is okay, but it's really nothing mind-blowing, and I think this is the part that could be improved the most. Everything else seems fresh, creative, and it gives it a new spin on the whole of Warhammer 40k and its lore, and I hope they are going to continue with that and keep things interesting and new. And with that, I'll be interested to read your opinions, drop them in the comments. I would love to have a conversation about it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.